The family once lived in Odaka, 15 kilometers from the nuclear power plant. Its 13,000 residents had to flee in the aftermath of the disaster. 2 years on, it's still empty. There and in several other locations, residents are permitted to return during the daytime. Yoshiharu and his wife agreed to take us inside the evacuation zone.
There used to be a fence marking the edge of the 20-kilometer cordon around the plant. There was no way we could get past. The police were guarding it 24 hours a day.
Yoshiharu heads to his former home, a spacious rural house that now lies abandoned. Radiation here is still high at 1 microsievert an hour, 4 times the level considered safe for people to return.
The level has to drop to at least 0.23 microsieverts per hour before people can return. Whenever I come back to collect our belongings, there are no voices, no cars, nothing. That's why I never stay here for long. I do what I need to do and go back to the prefab.
Yoshiharu and his wife occasionally return to their old home. Like many other families in this rural region, 3 generations of the Sue family lived under the same roof. But that was before the 14th of March 2011, 3 days after the earthquake and tsunami triggered the nuclear crisis.
I heard a loud noise and then saw a purple cloud in front of a house in the mountains. I took a photo of it. It was an explosion at the nuclear plant. I knew a little about the subject and realized things were getting dangerous, so we left here on the night of the 14th of March.
Yoshiharu quit his job as an engineer at the industrial machinery branch of Hitachi to look after his elderly parents and dedicate himself to farming. But because of radiation, no one will buy his rice and vegetables. His fields have been invaded by wild animals.
We let our pigs go after the accident. Then they mated with wild boar. Those wild animals come back here and eat worms.
There's a cemetery close to the family's old house. In Odaka, a town with a samurai tradition, long-established families show great respect for their ancestors. Abandoning the cemetery was one of the hardest things the family had to do.
Today the tombstones are upright again. They fell over during the earthquake. You can still see the cracks. Japanese people really care about their ancestors, so the first thing we did when the town was partially reopened was tidy up the tombstones.
The nuclear accident was not the only problem for Fukushima's residents. Like the rest of Japan's northeast coast, the area was first struck by a magnitude 9 earthquake, then by a devastating tsunami. High radiation levels mean the post-tsunami cleanup in this area has only just begun. For 2 years, the evacuation zone has remained practically unchanged.
Recovery's been slow, but there's nothing we can do about it.
The government made the whole 20 kilometers area off limits, but in this area of the evacuation zone, the radiation levels are not that high. We could come back and start working again.
Inside the zone, Yoshiharu meets a construction company worker in charge of separating debris. Wooden wreckage is placed on one side, concrete on the other. Later, the materials will be recycled.
We have to sort the debris out first, and that takes time. We can't just pile it up.
Here the problem isn't only the tsunami, but the fact that we're inside the 20-kilometer evacuation zone. People won't be able to return until the area's been decontaminated. That's why everyone wants the radiation cleanup to start as soon as possible.